Hi, my name's Kiana Bradley. A little about myself. I graduated from Fort Hayes in 2017 with my bachelor's degree in exercise science. I then decided to start my master's in exercise science, but throughout that process decided to become a teacher. So I then started the transition to teaching program and finished that last May and started the master's add-on to the T2T this past August. So about done with that. I also got married this past July, and that has been quite the adventure, especially with COVID and everything. So that has been fun. And we moved to Hutch because that's where I got my teaching job, was at Hutchinson High School. I am a PE teacher there. This will be my third year, and I also coach JV volleyball and distance and track. Some of the biggest challenges teaching in a pandemic this past year has been face masks have been one of the biggest challenges for me, just because as a PE teacher, we're active every day, and the face masks, the kids they hate wearing them. So it's definitely a challenge with the kids, making sure they have them on every day, not taking it off. Online teaching was also a really big challenge for me, just learning. It's kind of like learning everything all over again and putting it all online. So that was a challenge, but I feel like it helped me grow more than anything. And then technology has been a huge challenge this year, just with, like I said, online teaching, and then learning all of the different pieces of technology that go along with it was helpful, but also a lot at times. What I've learned this past year has been a lot. It's been quite a big year for me, just in life and in teaching. With getting married, we moved into a new house, and then with teaching, just transitioning that way, putting everything online, learning a lot about Google Classroom and Google Drive and everything that goes along with Google. I feel like I'm like a Google expert these days, but a lot of change happened this year, a lot of learning, but I feel like it was all for the good in the long run. 3 types of mindsets. We have all students can learn, teachers collaborate over isolation, and happiness and optimism. I feel like all students can learn is important as a teacher. I believe that it's my job to find out different ways to help my students learn, because I know not all students learn the same way. So being able to adjust and mold each student is important for me. Teacher collaboration over isolation. It's important for me to collaborate. I feel like that's the easiest way for me to learn and progress as a teacher, is to be able to talk with my colleagues and learn about what they're doing. And I usually find a lot of my stuff, a lot of the new stuff I teach is something that I found from another teacher, and I feel like collaboration just has helped me as a teacher. Happiness. I feel like to be a good teacher, you need to have some sort of happiness in what you're doing, or else you're just going to dread every day, and your kids will notice that and they won't want to be there either. So I feel like they feed off whenever you're happy and enjoy what you're doing, then they become happier and enjoy what they're doing in a way. The 5 types of dispositions. We have confidence, risk taker, indecisive, sense of humor, empathetically assertive, and learner. When I agreed with this research, I think that when teaching, you need to have confidence, or your students will walk all over you. You also need to have confidence when presenting a new idea to your administration or department head. I agree that when teaching, you need to take risks sometimes, and because if you don't, you'll never evolve as a teacher. Having a good sense of humor, I've learned as a PE teacher, you need to have a good sense of humor because you will get a lot of goofy kids that like to test your limits, and it takes too much effort, I feel like, to just get mad at them. And it's just easier to set your boundaries, but also have a good sense of humor with them so that you can create a positive relationship with each student. Being empathetically assertive, um, I feel like this year I have been the most empathetic that I probably have been in my past 3 years just because of everything that's going on. I know it has affected each household in its own way. And so just being able to hear out your students and understanding why they either couldn't come to school or just can't really be present that day in class, being open-minded about it has something that I feel like is important, especially this year. And learner, I try to be as progressive as I can, learning all of the new things that come out. There's always something new, especially in physical education. So staying in the know and being a lifelong learner is something that I feel like is important. The 3 types of practices, we have focus and prioritizing, examining feedback and data, and emotional intelligence. I agreed with this research. I have learned in the past couple of years that being organized is important to be successful with my students, because if you're not organized and ready to go whenever classes starts, your students see that and they feed off of it. So being organized is something I try to stay on top of. Examining feedback and data, I continuously try to give my students as much feedback as I can, especially with being PE. There's a lot of just like movement wise, different things that a lot of students struggle with if they don't play sports. So continuously giving my students feedback and helping them grow mechanically wise is important. And emotional intelligence, I feel like having positive interactions with your students and with your coworkers is important to having a positive environment every single day. 8 principles of ethical leadership. We have personal courage, public interest ahead of self, self-control, self-discipline, and integrity, task and employee-centeredness, recognizing talent, requiring high ethics from everyone, sensitivity and understanding, and inclusiveness. So personal courage, having the courage just to stand up for yourself, talking to your colleagues about maybe what changes you want, and being able to do that to help yourself grow as a teacher is important. Public interest ahead of self. Sometimes you have to put your students ahead of yourself in a healthy way, and that's just something as a teacher you have to do at times to be a good teacher. Self-control, self-discipline, and integrity. I know sometimes relationship-wise you're going to have students or coworkers that you don't agree with, but you have to have the control and discipline to deal with it and stay positive. So I think that's important. Task and employee-centeredness. To be successful, you need to be able to work with your students and your employees in a healthy way all the time. Recognizing talent, like I said, if my students do something good, I try to award them or like tell them good job so that they know they did something good. And I feel like that helps them know that I'm watching at all the times and creates a better relationship. Requiring high ethics from everyone, making sure that your students know that you expect a lot from them and that they expect a lot from me. So setting each other to that high standard is important. Sensitivity and understanding, like COVID, being able to understand where your students are at and having an open mind, and then inclusiveness, um, feeling like creating those relationships with your administration and your district so you feel involved and important is important. And then critique of myself, I kind of went along with that whenever I was explaining everything, but all students can learn working with your students, collaboration with your teachers, happiness, enjoying what you're doing, um, dispositions, so confidence grows with time, being a risk taker, trying new things, sense of humor, creating relationships, and being empathetic towards students, and a lifelong learner. Practices, focus and prioritizing, continuously just working on that. I am to better myself organizationally wise. Feedback and data, I feel like what helps me grow as a teacher. Emotional intelligence, being a good role model for my students and coworkers. Principles of ethical leadership, so personal courage, putting students first, public interest, being open-minded, self-control, discipline, and integrity, being strong with things when things get tough, task and employee centeredness, good administration. I feel like we have a good administration that always puts their staff first. They put their students first as well, but they're good with that balance. Recognize talent, praising students when they do well in class, high ethics from everyone, high expectations for myself and students, sensitivity and understanding, low-income community and COVID, and then inclusiveness, building relationships. How does all of this support the educational success and well-being of each student and adult? I think that this project has centered around building positive relationships with staff, students, parents, and the community. The different examples of mindsets, dispositions, practices, and principles of ethical leadership all promote the current and future success and well-being of each student and adult. Correlation, so when creating this assignment, I was able to reflect, communicate, cultivate, and talk about my professional dispositions and norms when teaching. Relevancy statement, this assignment is relevant to my learning and becoming an effective educational leader. I thought this assignment really made me reflect on my teaching. I also like the resources that were given to us, and I plan to use them for future reference. Personal reflection, this assignment gave me the opportunity to reflect on my teaching and evaluate where I am currently at in my own teaching and professional development in areas that I need to improve in. I feel like this will make me a better educator. And here are my references.